Hey, what's happening? This your boy Big Dog Talk Sports. Shout out to everybody. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. Spending time with family, you barbecuing, Labor Day weekend. Hope everybody got a day off work, everybody chilling. I just want to make a quick video about Robert Parish and his comment about Michael Jordan. Now, for the younger people who don't know much about Robert Parish, he's one of the all-time great players in NBA history. Big man for the Boston Celtics. Now, he did start off in Golden State. He played for the Hornets at one point, and in his career in Chicago. Actually won a ring with the Chicago Bulls. I believe it was 96, 97. Got 3 rings with the Boston Celtics through the 80s. Great big man. I'm not going to say he's on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar level or anything like that. He's not even like Patrick Ewing, David Robinson. But he's an all-time legendary center for sure. Check out the Chief Robert Parish, man. He was a baller. And he got knockout power, too. I'm not going to get into it, but he'll knock you out, too, But he made a comment about Michael Jordan, saying that Michael Jordan can't be considered the greatest because he said Michael Jordan never beat a great team. Now, I have no issue with him. I have no issue with him not having Michael Jordan as the GOAT. That's an opinion, for sure. I believe he has Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the greatest of all time. That's cool. Respect to Kareem. I just want to talk about how he said Michael Jordan never beat a great team. Shout out to my boy Kobe Bryant Film Room. Let me say this. This is Cap. And I'll break it down for you guys. So, one thing about Michael Jordan and what makes him the greatest of all time is that he led a team to a dynasty, right? 2 separate three-peats. 2 separate three-peats. Now, I'm not one of them Jordan fans who go crazy, act like Michael Jordan did it all by himself with no help. That's BS. Nobody wins without help. There's no good team without a good roster. Now, some rosters are better than others. Some rosters are formed different than other teams, but you're not going to be a good team without a good roster. But, say Michael Jordan didn't beat any great teams. Well, I have a question, Mr. Parish, and I got a lot of respect for Robert Parish. Was the Detroit Pistons not a great team? The team that was beating them down before him and the Chicago Bulls get over the hump. Jordan start hitting the weight room. Him and Pippen start getting better. Michael Jordan start getting better, getting stronger. And he's finally able to lead his team past that Detroit Pistons, who won 2 championships back-to-back and was probably on their way to win their 3rd. Because I wouldn't be shocked if they'd beat the Lakers in the finals had they beat the Bulls to get there. The Pistons just won 2 in a row. It was on their way to their 3rd. Was the Pistons not a great team, Robert Parish? So I see a lot of young people co-signing that. Oh, you heard what Robert Parish said. He a legend. And like I said, no disrespect to Parish, but what he said is just not true. It's just not true. The Pistons were a great team, y'all. The Pistons just won 2 championships in a row on their way to a 3rd championship. How was that not a great team? See, legends say some things, and then the younger people will roll with it when it fits the narrative they want it to fit. There's a group of fans, I'll say LeBron fans, who wants Michael Jordan's career to be picked apart. They're going to roll with it. You see what Robert Parish said? Bro, it's not true. The Pistons just won 2 championships in a row on their way to a 3rd. And Michael Jordan and Pippen and the Bulls, they swept them in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, you're going to have some people come up here and say something stupid like, well, the Pistons were old. No, they won't. They wasn't old, man. Now, y'all got to stop going for narratives and actually do research. Okay? Like, don't go for confirmation bias. Go for truth. That's all I ask. In 1991, right? So we could debunk this the Pistons was old, right? Joe Dumars, legendary shooting guard for the Pistons. He was 27 years old, y'all. Isaiah Thomas, the great Isaiah Thomas, one of the greatest point guards ever. Well, scratch that, one of the greatest players ever. 29 years old. Is that old, y'all? Y'all let me know, is that old? Your two best players, 27 and 29 years old. Is that old? No. Dennis Rodman, 29 years old. Now, Bill Laimbeer, he was 33. You have Vinnie Microwave Johnson, he was 34. But your three best players was in the prime of their careers, coming off back-to-back championships. So, yes, Michael Jordan and the Bulls, because I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying Michael Jordan won by himself, they beat a great team on their way to their first championship. The Pistons were a great team. Like, they was pretty much a dynasty. Now, some people say back-to-back makes you a dynasty. Some say 3 in a row. So either they're a dynasty or they was on their way to being a dynasty, depending on your criteria of a dynasty. Either way it goes, they were a great team. Now, another thing people have is that you can't be a great team if you didn't win a championship. I disagree with that. Now, I don't think you can be a legendary team if you don't win a championship, unless it's like something crazy happens, like something just extraordinary, such as the 2007 Patriots who went undefeated all year long until the Super Bowl. It's still a legendary team, and of course, a great team. 2016 Warriors, 73-9. They didn't win the championship, but it's still a legendary team because they still did something extraordinary, winning 73 games. Patriots going undefeated through the season. But other than that, you could be a great team and not win a championship. There's plenty of great teams who didn't win a championship. We got to stop this trying to downplay Michael Jordan and his competition. You had the Seattle Supersonics, right? In 96. Go back and look at that Supersonics team. Gary Payton, Shawn Kemp, Detlef Schrempf through the 90s. They was winning like 55, 60 games every year. Every year. Like, they stayed up there. Now, they had some playoffs, disappointments. I get that. But if you go back and watch that season, 96, the Supersonics was a great team. Hersey Hawkins, Nate McMillan backing up Gary Payton, a defensive monster. Sam Perkins, they were a great team. Now, I wouldn't say they're a legendary team, but it was a great team. Also in 96, you had Shaq and Penny Orlando Magic, who just got to the finals the year before. Though they was dominating a lot of teams back then. They beat the Bulls the year before. Now, I know people are going to say Michael Jordan just came back, 17 games. That Bulls team wasn't that great the year before in 95. And I agree. But the Magic, they got the job done. Michael Jordan was able to get back to where he needed to be. The Bulls improved the roster and swept that Orlando Magic team. That was a great team. That Shaq and Penny Magic, Nick Anderson and all them, that was a great team. Not legendary, but great. Utah Jazz, back-to-back finals appearances, 97, 98. Karl Malone, Hornacek, Stockton, and all them. Great team. They swept the Lakers. Four All-Stars on the team. Shaq, Kobe, Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel. It was a young Kobe. It wasn't prime Kobe, but he was an all-star. That Utah Jazz team put the whipping sticks on them. They was a great team. I said not legendary, but great. You had that Pacers team in 98 that the Bulls beat. And believe it or not, because, it's this thing that, the Bulls in the 90s had no competition. The Pacers was kind of favorite to win that series. I'm not going to say heavy favorites, but they was kind of favorite to some people. to be the ones to dethrone the Bulls, but the Bulls, they got together and they beat them. You know, you had some of the early Knicks teams. You had the Phoenix Suns in 93, who added Charles Barkley after winning, I think it was 54 games the year before. They added Barkley, won 60-something. Barkley MVP, well-deserved MVP. The Suns had a better roster than the Bulls in 93 overall. The difference was one team had Michael Jordan, the other team did not. Michael Jordan had to put up 41 points a game in the finals to help his team win. See, this is not the stuff they talk to y'all about. They just say things, throw a narrative out there, and people run with it. That Phoenix Suns team was stacked. That was a great team. That was a championship caliber team. They had a better roster than the Bulls. They did. The difference was Michael Jordan. I'm not saying Scottie Pippen and the rest of the guys didn't do their thing. I'm not trying to disrespect them at all. But Michael Jordan put on the greatest finals performance I ever watched against that Phoenix Suns team. It was 62-20. I'm looking at it right now, 62-20. Like I said, Barkley was MVP, and they had a stacked team. They had the better team on paper. They had a better team on paper. Barkley, Kevin Johnson, Tom Chambers, Cedric Ceballos, young Cedric Ceballos. Dan Marley was on that team. Danny Ainge was on that team. Richard Dumas was on that team. A lot of scorers was on that team. They had about 7 people averaging double figures on that team back in 93, with Barkley averaging about 25 and a half. Mike had to average 41 points a game to beat that great team, y'all. So all this Michael Jordan didn't beat a great team. Mr. Parish, no disrespect, but that's cap. You know? The Portland Trail Blazers was a great team. They don't get talked about it that much because, you know, the Bulls beat them in 6 games. But that was another great team that Mike faced, who you probably could argue had a better roster overall than the Bulls. If you know basketball, like you said, the Bulls had a better roster. I'm not tripping. But you could argue the Blazers had a better roster overall, top to bottom. You know, you had Clyde Drexler, Terry Porter, Kevin Duckworth. He was a solid power forward. He wasn't great. You had a young Cliff Robinson on that team. Danny Ainge was on that team. You had Jerome Kersey, Buck Williams. Yeah, man. Now, if you feel the Bulls had an overall better roster, I'm not tripping, but people act like that Blazers team wasn't a great team. That was a great team. You know, the Bulls, they just won, man. Like, even if you feel the Bulls roster was better top to bottom, the Bulls, they beat a great team. Not legendary, but great. They was a great team. You know? But yeah, man, I just want to talk about what Robert Parish said, man. Him saying Michael Jordan's not the GOAT, that's an opinion. I'm fine with that. But to say the reason why he can't be the GOAT or be considered the GOAT because he didn't beat a great team, that's just not true. That's all I got to say. Y'all tell me your thoughts in the comment section. I'm out.